Hello, and welcome back for another ACCA video where in today's recording I'm going to take you through my top 10 topics that you must prepare for to ace your ACCA SBL examination for the June 2025 sitting that involves the Dearn Shoes Ltd company. My name is James, I'm an ACCA qualified member, and on my channel I help out ACCA students just like the ones above me pass their examinations. So if you would like a copy of my exclusive notes I'm going to take you through in this video, click the link in the description and you can download a copy yourself. I'm also delighted to say that I'm associated and affiliated with Astranti. They have pre-scene analysis packs, mock examinations based on these pre-scene information for you to take advantage of. I've put the links where you can access them in the description below. And for pure transparency, as always on the channel, if you were to purchase anything, I'd be entitled to a small percentage which goes to supporting the YouTube channel. So as always, a massive, huge thank you. I'm so pleased that many students around the world are getting the best out of these notes. So leave me a comment below how you're getting on. And this is our first topic, model, theory that you just have to be aware of and prepare for your exam. And that is the SWOT analysis. If you've downloaded my notes, go down to page 1. I've given you a nice little breakdown, as you can see on the left-hand side. I've put in there a couple of little examples as to some strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. So you've got that it's a well-established organisation, 9.4% market share, but I think they're just so spread out in terms of the number of shoes that they offer to the marketplace, and they are not very proactive in getting new styles out. There are definitely more opportunities, which we're going to come on to in a moment, where I'll show you through the notes you have more examples. With lastly, the loss of staff, the economic climate are definite threats that you could refer to. Now, if you have these notes, head down to the likes of page 4. You can see on the right-hand side, I've identified in a few different areas the sort of, maybe if you want to talk about maybe the total sales revenue, the online sales is another opportunity on there, handcrafted shoes. It is where there's actual opportunity and increasing in demand. There are plenty of different areas in the pre-scene materials. So that is area number 1, SWOT analysis. Number 2, we're coming back up to the top now, which is PESTLE analysis. So political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal. We're told throughout that we have a little few hints that Luckland is a politically stable country. There is a little mention about the government throughout, but in terms of the economic perspective, it's a developed country. But for the shoe industry, we've been given some figures about the future prospects and growth that you could definitely apply. Social-wise, we're told that the staff have very good satisfaction and the staff turnover is very low. Lots of technology points we're going to come on to, especially on page 12 about new systems. There are again increased stakeholder awareness from an environmental perspective. However, there is no board of director accountable for this area, and possible lawsuits or overseas labour issues and non-compliance are definite legal factors. Again, if you've got a copy of the notes, you can head down to say page 6, where you can see in the innovations and development section about recycling initiatives. There are lots of technology factors in terms of using Bluetooth technology on there, virtual reality, plenty for you to talk about, and that's why PESTLE is number 2 and has to be on the list. Coming back up to the top, where I've got and squeezed in one more of the actual theories, and that is Porter's 5 forces. So the key 5 elements in the 5 forces are competitive rivalry, supplier power, buyer power, threat of substitution, and threat of new entry. Now, we're told that there are, on page 5, we are one of the 5 largest organisations that take up 45% of the market share. So lots of competitive rivalry because there are plenty of smaller organisations that hold 55% of the market share. Supplier power, we're actually given little information, but you should be referring to EXCO in your analysis with that. Then we're coming on to buyer power, again sort of limited information, but they could actually move their manufacturing back to Lena, which they moved overseas 15 years ago. And then there are a few other points about the threats of substitution and threats of new entry. But again, Porter's 5 forces, you'll see lots of details as you go through the pre-scene notes on here. And again, we can talk about the home customers in Luckland being a sort of area that you could be talking about in terms of these things, different pricing strategies, But again, there are lots of different areas, and that's why Porter's 5 Forces has to be on my list. We're then coming down to area number 4 on the selection. So if you've got my notes, go down to page 12. This is where you need to look at the risk section, and the possibility of using and applying the TARA model could be actually examined here. Now, why is that the case? Well, it's all about a structured approach to managing risk and classifying those risks, what you are given in the pre-C materials, again, assuming if this was to be tested. So if it was, you can either transfer the risk, avoid the risk, reduce the risk, or simply accept the risk. So we're given areas such as the environmental impacts, limited online offering, supply chain disruption. That's why you sort of get the inkling that if you were asked to talk about the risks, then the TARA model would be a good one to have in your arsenal to apply on the exam day. So area number 4, topic number 4, the TARA model. Now let's head up to page 8, where this is another classic exam style area in question, which is all about the 6 capitals of integrated reporting on there. And the 6 key capitals you need to get down are financial, manufactured, intellectual, we have human on there, social and relationship, and natural capital. So why do I have this on my list? Well, these capitals are the basis of an organisation's value creation. So exactly what Dearn is looking here about the shoes they provide to the marketplace in Luckland, and discuss the usefulness of this information to stakeholders. Well, if you come back up to page 8, we're given a nice little section on there with different stakeholders, third-party manufacturers, distribution partners, the Luckland Shoe Association. That's why the 6 capitals of integrated reporting has to be on my list and is number 5. We're then coming on to page 4, which is all about Porter's value chain now. So again, not the most tested area, but as you go through the theory, as you can see that it's a strategic management tool, it helps businesses to identify and improve their competitive advantage. And you can see from the information we are provided, especially in the market structure, Dearn is really struggling as to their different price points, target markets. They produce all the different types of shoes. So again, when you look at the theory and you say to yourself, what are the primary and supporting activities? How do they add value in the form of products or services? We're actually told later on that they provide a really good service, even though the products are actually mass produced. So again, little things when I read through it about ways to improve efficiency, reduce costs, insights to develop a competitive strategy that could link to the board of directors. So again, that was why Porter's value chain had to be on my list as area number 6. We're coming back up now to page 1, which is all about the balanced scorecard. So this is, I'll put my mouse on it on the left-hand side, a performance management tool that helps organisations to measure the success from 4 key perspectives. So you've got to say to yourself, have we been told about the financial perspectives, customer perspectives, internal processes, and the learning and growth? So it links to the day-to-day activities, long-term strategy, ensuring the balanced focus between the financial results. And you think to yourself, when you read through the pre-C notes, you've got directors who think about the business on a day-to-day basis. And when we think about the customers in terms of the balanced scorecard, that was one of the real standout aspects on page 12, that you can see the customer satisfaction has been dropping year on year from 8.7 down to 7, which is now below the industry average. So that's why number 7, balanced scorecard, has to be on the list just to be prepared for those 4 areas in case it was to be tested. Now, area number 8, which is back up to page 2, and that involves ANSOS Matrix as a strategic planning tool that helps businesses to analyze and develop growth opportunities. So ANSOS Matrix is your number 8. And you think to yourself, again, thinking to those board of directors, we're not given any KPIs in the pre-C materials. The business is really struggling on here in terms of Dearn, comparing against the competitors, and there being a lack of growth in the marketplace. So when you look at market penetration, product development, market development, diversification, another area I'd be making sure that you had some good points down for those 4 different areas that you could apply back to the scenario, because for each of the 4 areas, I think you could come up with some good points for it. Could be a classic 6 to 8 mark question for it. So number 8, ANSOS Matrix. Coming on to number 9 now, we're getting down to page 8, where this comes and links back to the stakeholders you can see up at the top. And this is Mendelow's matrix model, all about stakeholders and identifying their different power and level of interest within the business. So you use the model to say, for the stakeholder group, based on their power and level of interest, do you need to keep that stakeholder satisfied? Are they a key player? Do we just sort of need some minimal effort? Or shall we keep them informed? And lo and behold, you've got the shareholders on there, the staff, customers, third-party manufacturers, trade unions, plenty to talk about. And that's why Mendelow's matrix number 9 has to go on my list. Next, we're coming on to area number 10, which I just bring it down here, linking to the board and organisational structure, is where you can see my mouse, the Johnson, Scholes and Whittington JSW model framework. This is where, again, it doesn't get tested as much, but when you read it through and you think to yourself, you've got to look at the key criteria about evaluating strategic options. And you can see from going through the pre-C materials that the management are interested in the sort of day-to-day basis of the business. So we could apply, is it suitable, is it feasible, or is it acceptable, also known as the SAF model. And essentially it's assessing, I got there eventually, whether a strategy aligns with the organisational's goals. Is it achievable? Is it acceptable for the different stakeholder groups? So again, we've got that mission, vision and values. If you go down to page 12, it might overlap and link into the purpose that you can see at the bottom, and you could directly quote those areas if it was to be tested. So that's the SAF model, also known as Johnson, Scholes and Whittington, I would have down as number 10. And those are my top 10 topics for you to prepare so that you can ace your SBL examination, with the final caveat at the end that I have no idea what is on the examination, but there are some other ones which you've got the Boston Consulting Group matrix not to overlook, there's the Poppet model, and also the 3 E's if the organisation was to change its structure from a limited company on there as well. So maybe write down those, I would not overlook them either. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and if you'd like access to a copy of these notes, click the link down in the description where you can find a copy down there. Make sure you check out the Astranti mock papers and the pre-scene packs, and I'll see you on the other side now for another SBL video, so make sure you subscribe and like, and thank you very much.